How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. Well, this channel has, well, for a channel this size, it's exploded over the past couple of days. It's actually tripled in size. I have close to 200 subscribers now, when I had under 70. I had under 70 just a couple days ago. And, I mean, I'd say that's a pretty quick explosion, and it's all based on, like, one or two videos. And, oddly enough, it wasn't the video that I thought would take off. Really. I mean, but, you know, I expected the flag burning video to be the one that would really take off, because I figured the controversy around it would be, you know, the controversy of burning a flag on camera would really cause an explosion. And I did have a significant number of views for a channel this size, sure. But the one about trans people and mass shootings is the one that really took off. And let's be honest, I mean, I know what I look like, and a lot of people looked at the cover and were afraid to read the book. You admitted it in the comments, but I'm glad you read the book, because I know what I look like. I know exactly what I look like. I mean, I look like I probably have some red hats in the house, right? And I do, but they are in support of a sports team, not in support of a political figure or a political movement. I like a sports team that wears red. That's why I have some red hats. Right? Some people were also afraid because, I mean, people were afraid to watch that video because of that flag over my shoulder. It shows up in my video. And why is that flag there, despite having burned one a few days ago? Well, it's there because I still believe in what that flag is supposed to stand for. I still believe in the ideals behind that flag, which is why I don't hate you for who you are. We are supposed to have equality. We are supposed to have freedom. You know, so if your skin is a different color than mine, or, you know, if you're a guy who is attracted to guys, or if you're a trans person, I'm sorry, I don't know the best way to describe what, I don't know, born in the wrong body, or just exactly what the deal is. I'm sorry that I don't know how to explain that, because, let's be honest, I don't understand what it is to be like you, all right? In the sense that I don't understand, you know, what is going on with you, but I do understand empathy. And I do understand that hating you is not acceptable. I understand that I'm going to stand with you. I'm going to stand for you. You know, I don't care what our differences may be. You know, I know, the video that took off, I'm wearing a Megadeth shirt in that video. Wearing a Kiss t-shirt right now. So you may think hard rock and heavy metal is all I like, right? Well, no, that's not true. I actually like a wide variety of music, to include country. And if you're a country fan, you might be familiar with Chris Ledoux. And if you're familiar with Chris Ledoux, you may have heard, well, there's always been groups of people that never could quite see eye to eye, but I always thought if they ever had a chance to sit down and talk face to face, they might realize they got a lot in common. Where does that come from? That comes from the Chris Ledoux song, This Cowboy's Hat. It's a spoken intro into the song. And that is exactly right. That song is about a rodeo cowboy with, he's in a coffee shop with an old cowboy who is, they're swapping stories about rodeos, right? And there is a motorcycle gang that just happens to be in that same coffee shop, and there's a little bit of a confrontation, but in the end, they come to an understanding. Yeah, they come to an understanding. It's actually a kind of a neat story in the song. But you know what? The same can be true of any two demographics, right? Let's take a look at the civil rights movement, for example, right? It was people who look like me who wanted to stop people with darker skin from having equal rights, just because they have darker skin. And why? Why is that? And why is it that, when the gay community started making themselves more known, particularly in the 80s and 90s, that they were less afraid to come out and say, hey, this is who I am, right? And people didn't want them to have equality because, ew, that's icky. Okay, so what? How does it hurt you? How does it hurt you in any way at all? And current day we're dealing with immigrants and refugees from Latin America who are being rounded up, and they're not even focused just on immigrants and refugees. They're focusing on anyone with a name like Rodriguez or Guardado or Hidalgo or Gomez or fill in the blank, Gutierrez or whatever, Villanueva. Or if you look like you might have that kind of a name. So if you're, Apache or Navajo, you're going to get rounded up. Yeah. And then, of course, the trans community. Yeah. We are so terrified of you going into the bathroom, right? Never mind the fact that you're going in there for the same reason that I'm going in there, right? Do your thing, wash your hands, get out. That's all you want to do. If a trans woman goes into a women's bathroom while my wife is in there, I am fairly certain that my wife is going to be safe in there. In fact, I don't know of a single incident of a trans person going into a bathroom to molest a child or to attack a woman. Don't know of a single incident. I do know of one incident that happened in a McDonald's, though, not that long ago. A cisgendered lesbian who does have kind of masculine features. She looks like what, I hope I'm not being offensive when I say this, but she looks like your stereotype of a butch lesbian. And like I said, I hope I'm not being offensive when I say that. It's just the terminology that people know. And Billy Bob and Cletus decided that she was trans and beat the daylights out of her when she came out. Without even knowing. Not even knowing. You know, there are cisgendered people who have, cisgendered women who have more masculine features and cisgendered men who have more feminine features. That's just reality, I mean, that doesn't make them trans, it doesn't make them gay, it just means that that's their genetics for whatever reason, right? And that's fine. You ever seen the movie Forrest Gump? Your boy's different, Ms. Gump. We are all different. Yeah, we are all different, aren't we? And I'm going to stand with the people who are different. People like to say that our diversity is not our strength. That our unity is our strength. Yes, our unity because of our diversity. E pluribus unum. Out of many, one. Out of many, one. So that means people who look like me, people who don't look like me, people with the same body parts I have, people that have different body parts, people who think like me, people who don't think like me. I mean, I'm sorry, but yes, I could tell you the differences between me and any other person, right? Just by sitting and talking to them. Well, first of all, they're not me, therefore they're different, right? If they're not me, they're different. And if they're not you, they're different from you, period. It's not good, that's not bad, that's reality. Actually, I'd say it is good that we're all different. Because I've heard it said that if you and I agree about everything, there's no need for one of us to even exist. Makes sense to me. That's similar to a quote attributed to General George Patton. If everyone is thinking alike, somebody's not thinking at all. He was right. Actually, Patton is my favorite general in American history. He wasn't always such a good guy, but he was a fantastic general. He really was. But, why can't we just accept people for who they are? Live and let live kind of thing, I mean, the fact that, my wife and I have kids from a previous marriage. She does not have kids at all. She is a childless cat lady, right? And that's fine. I have no problem with that. If I had a problem with that, would we be together? No, of course not. Meanwhile, there are other families in this neighborhood who have small kids. They have kids in high school. There are older retired couples. I could point in several different directions and tell you where the kids are located, right? In fact, you might hear some of them get picked up on the microphone. But I don't know for sure. I know they're outside. I can hear them. They're not making noise at this exact moment, but, that's all right. They're good kids. I like their parents. And thing is, here's the deal. Have I always been this laid back and a little bit on the progressive side? No, I haven't. I have not. I have been out there on the right wing of things. Now, when Donald Trump came along, I saw through him right away. I didn't see him as the fascist that he is, but I did see him as a dangerous demagogue that we should have never put in the White House to begin with. Okay? So, I have never supported him. But I did used to be a Republican. I have voted for Mitt Romney, John McCain, George W. Bush twice, and Bob Dole. And I make no apologies for any of those votes. I did what I thought was right at the time. And, you know, I do make apologies for some of my attitudes, though, at the time, you know, because I have been that right-wing kind of demagogue, not always an ally to certain communities. But then I realized you just might, maybe, possibly, be human beings that I might have something in common with. I just might have something in common with you. In fact, a trans person on that video about trans people in mass shootings mentioned the Megadeth shirt that I was wearing. That person is not really a thrash metal fan, more of a gothic metal and punk fan. Well, I'm not really a gothic metal fan. But hey, I like punk. Gee, it's almost like that is a human being that I have something in common with. Who'd have thunk it, right? Who'd have thunk it? You know, and it's almost like, you know, I was at a protest a while back, and standing right next to me was a trans person. We had a nice conversation. I don't understand what it's like to be trans, but I do understand what it's like to be a human being worthy of dignity and respect. And I understand what it means to treat somebody that way. So, I have gotten a little bit more progressive in my views over the years. I would call myself a centrist these days. You know, because, I mean, that's just, you know, I am not so far to the left that I can support somebody like Bernie Sanders, for example. But I would support somebody like that over a fascist any day. I would rather have a Gavin Newsom, Tim Walz type, maybe a Jasmine Crockett, and someone like that. Somebody I can relate to. Somebody, they might be to my left. Well, Newsom actually might be a little bit to my right these days. But somebody I can relate to. Somebody who is not a dangerous demagogue. Somebody who is not going to destroy our country. But, yeah. I want to thank everyone for supporting that video and supporting this channel, growing this channel that quickly, and by that much. I mean, it may not seem like much to say that I've added 120 subscribers in a few days, but tripled the size of my channel. It tripled the size of my channel. And I've been at this for a year, right? I did take a few months of hiatus because I got a little bit frustrated with it. But I'm back now, right? And I'm going to stand for what that flag is supposed to stand for, not for what those who wave it off of who wave it from the backs of their trucks think it stands for, right? So you're not going to see me in a red hat. You might if you're at one of the games that I go to, but that's only in support of that sports team. But yeah, you're not going to see me wear a red hat on this channel. And you know what? Not every bearded, pickup driving, gun owning, cisgendered, heterosexual, white Christian male hates you. In fact, I would argue that most of us probably don't. The ones who do are just very vocal about it. Alright? If you don't believe me, go check out Josh over at The Enemy from Within. And go check out Tennessee Brando. And yeah, I'm sure there are others out there, but those are two guys that I like to watch. And I will include, I'm going to tag them in this video. So go down to the description and you'll see where you can find those guys, because I really do like them. Josh, he's a great guy, from what I can tell. I've never met either one of them. I just know him from watching them. You might think he's dumb at first, but he's not. He is very scatterbrained, but he's also quite humorous, quite witty, and when I first encountered him, I thought he was accidentally right. No, he's a smart guy who knows where he stands. He's just a little scatterbrained in his presentation, which makes him entertaining. And I might be a little bit scatterbrained in my presentation too, but that's all right. Tennessee Brando, he's a lot bigger. I think he's got close to 1 million subscribers. He's also associated with Midas Touch, so he has that benefit. But yeah, I mean, he just looks like, some biker dude, some biker redneck dude out of, Tennessee. And he looks like his opinions would be exactly the opposite of what they are. And someone else, he no longer is on his channel, but Beau of the Fifth Column was another one that I used to watch a lot. His wife runs the channel now because he stepped away. But yeah, just because they look like me doesn't mean that they hate you. Alright? So I want to thank everybody for taking the chance on that video, expecting something different from what you actually got. And you know what? I hope you stick around for as long as I'm doing this. Alright? I'll catch y'all next time.